Hi to anybody who is watching this video. My name is Jante Wilson. This is my first YouTube video I've ever posted, and I never thought that I would ever be posting a video like this. This is not something that I ever thought that I would even share publicly, but I feel so strongly about it that I cannot not share my story, and so many other people's stories that they have shared has helped me. And so that's kind of what I want to do for anyone else out there who's might be going through a faith transition or a faith crisis within any honestly religious organization or Orthodox religion, or especially the same one that I did, as you can tell from the title of this video, the Mormon Church, or as they now like to go by, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They no longer go by the nickname Mormon, but a lot of people know it by the name Mormon. So I will be referring to it by the Mormon Church. And if this is not something that you like, this is not a video that, you want to see, it upsets you, you can feel free and turn off the video. I don't want to upset anybody, but I will be sharing my raw and personal experience, and I will not be apologizing for that. I know this can be shocking and hard for people who knew me on my missionary service for the church in Wisconsin, for friends and family who are still strong believing members, which good for you. I have no problem with anybody that still believes in the church and wants to stay active and knows these things. You do whatever you feel is right for you. This is what I feel is right for me. And it is quite the ride that I have been on since finding out a lot of information about the church. And I just want to kind of start from the beginning of telling my story. So I grew up in the church. I've been a member of the church for 24 years. I'm 24 right now. I don't have my records removed or anything. I don't know if I will get my records removed, or the church might remove them themselves. I don't know. We'll see. I have been a member my entire life. I grew up in the church. I grew up in Alpine, Utah, where basically everybody I knew was a member of the church, except maybe like 2 or 3 people at school that wasn't. But it was very rare to meet people that weren't members of the church. So I just knew that, like, that's all I knew growing up, along with everyone else around me that was my age. Went to church every single Sunday. We were a very active family. I was very active in young women's activities. I went to girls' camp, trek twice, and if you aren't familiar with the church or anything at all, you probably don't know what a lot of these terms mean, and I'm sorry for that. It's kind of a lot to dig through and process and explain if you haven't, but I'm going to assume most of the people watching this video are probably people that know about the church or are leaving some type of religion or just came across this video. So I always had a strong testimony of the church. I always believed it was true. I never doubted it. That was until I went on a mission, I doubted it. But growing up in Utah, where most everybody around you, especially in Alpine, is a member of the church, and it's taught so heavily, I had no reason to doubt it. I had no reason to doubt it at all. And I wanted to do what the right thing was to do. And I wanted to follow what the church leaders, the prophets, the apostles, my mom and dad were telling me to do, because I wanted to feel, I think in a sense, I wanted to feel like I was worthy, because that word is used a lot in the church for, being worthy to God. And the thought of not being worthy to him made me feel really like a lot of shame. And so I really was a good kid. I did everything that I could do. I wasn't perfect, obviously, and I felt so much shame for mistakes that I made. I instantly would repent, and I would still feel that shame just carrying around me. And it was something that I really strived to be good at. I really wanted to follow God and Jesus Christ and show them that I loved them. and show them that I believed and that I would have faith. And so at the age of 20 years old, I decided that I wanted to go on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. I was called to Wisconsin Milwaukee Mission. I served my full 18 months there. And that was really the first time in my life where I started having some serious like doubts about the church. And I think a lot of it is just being outside of Utah. I was able to hear different perspectives that I had never heard before about religion. And so that was really hard for me. I heard some people in my mission say like, oh, anything that's not the Bible is of the devil. And people, you know, that would just really like hate on us about what we were doing. And that was the first time I was like, I've never heard about any of this. And they would, you know, use Bible scriptures to say like, oh, like this is why I'm saying what is true, like anything not of the Bible is of the devil, there's false prophets. And I started to realize like, I don't think I really know the Bible at all. I know that we believe in it, but I don't think I really know the Bible. I know the Book of Mormon like really well. But I don't really know the Bible too well. As Mormons, you heavily focus on the Book of Mormon because we believe that it's the most corrected, translated book of scripture that there is. And that's kind of what missionary work is they want to go out and share that. A lot of people don't know what it is. And so that's kind of what we do. So I went out and I did that, and it was very hard. Anybody on my mission who served around me, especially during the first 6 months of my mission, knows how much I struggled. It was really hard. But I would say overall, I don't necessarily regret going on a mission. I don't agree with what I was teaching, but I definitely just kind of needed to get away, just from some family stuff that was going on too. So it was really good for me just to kind of get away. Sorry, I think I hear my husband out there. He's playing a video game with one of his friends, so I figured this would be a good time to do this. And so it was quite a wild ride. I had some really hard companions. The rules were just so strict. Like, back when I went, it was the year 2018. Just super strict rules. Like, I couldn't even write like a handwritten letter to my friends or my family unless it was Monday, like strictly, and even like on my own time. And I remember like my trainer got on me about that one time, and I was just like, what can I do? Is there anything that I can do to relieve my stress? Like, this is super hard adjustment. And I wanted the blessings of going on a mission. I wanted to grow. I wanted to be a better wife, better mom one day. You know, that's what they tell you, is that going on a mission will make you a better man or a better wife, and you'll have so many blessings from going on a mission. And I wanted that. I thought, if there's anything that I can do right in this world, it's serve a mission for God. And I had no idea how hard missions are until I went. And I'm sure a lot of people can say the same thing as me. I had super hard areas. We were not teaching well. People slammed doors in our faces. My trainer was super strict. Like, all we do is work. And I remember the first time, like, we were out tracting / knocking doors, and I really needed to like use the restroom. And I remember my trainer like jokingly like kind of shamed me for that. And I think like I did go use the restroom, but I think like she was kind of like, we need to be working, you know, like she just kind of was a perfectionist. And that's what those mission rules do, is they kind of put this perfectionist mindset in you, where it's like, if you mess up once, like you just feel like you're the worst person to God ever. And it's just for like the silliest of things. And it's really, really toxic. And I'm just going to come out and say that it is so unbelievably toxic. At least I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, it was so unbelievably toxic. I was so depressed. I felt like I was letting God down. I felt like I was letting the mission president down because I couldn't do everything perfectly. And having a trainer that I looked up to and I'm supposed to learn from was being so hard on us. And even on my 21st birthday, like we didn't even celebrate. Like we just knocked doors for like 8 to 9 hours straight that day, and it was the worst birthday of my entire life. And um it was just, it's like nothing, you can't do anything for yourself out there. They're taught you're supposed to be very selfless. You go out there for other people, which is the real reason why I went. I just didn't think it would be a sin to want to write a letter to maybe my friend before I went to bed. And so, like, that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Just super, super strict rules. And that was kind of what we focus on, was obedience is number one. And I remember some elders on my mission talking about, like, oh, like people talk about, like, oh, we don't focus as much on grace. And I totally understand that now, because I feel like we use a lot of shame and obedience, and you better do this or this, A, B, and C, or else like you're a sinner. And I felt like that was kind of going against the teaching itself about God and Jesus Christ, sacrificing for us and loving us. And I felt like it was more just about obedience than anything else, than like actually focusing on what the atonement of Jesus Christ is. And anyone who served around me knows that this really bothered me. I just felt like a robot. I felt like I couldn't even be myself. Like, we're told that we're not even allowed to like do peace signs in pictures or anything because it doesn't represent Jesus Christ. Like, basically you can't be human. You can't watch movies. You only have like a very strict like 1 hour dinner with members, if you even get lucky with that. You have to pay to go on missions too. You have to pay like almost around $10,000 to go, and the church only gave me about $170 a month for groceries, for basic needs, and it went super, super fast. And there was times on my mission where we didn't have food because members weren't feeding us. It was so hard. And my mom actually had to send me like $100 for me and my companion just to eat that week. And so I just was super frustrated, because I was like, we paid to come out here, and I just feel like the church isn't helping us out at all. And the church has so much money. I did not know how much money they had. Gosh, they have so much money. And I know that's because there's a lot of people that pay tithing, and they also have like, they're also kind of like a business. But it's so hard for me to get in the mindset to give 10% of my income when I'm barely like making it by, to give to the church that has multi-billion dollars that are building like fancy temples. And I understand that it's like, the work of the Lord, but it's like there's people that are just in need of basic necessities, and the church like doesn't really help them, or they're super strict if they do help them. I just feel like they have so much money. And so I'm not paying my tithing right now. I don't believe in anything of the church at all anymore. And so my mission was kind of like the first experience that I had where I questioned the church. So that's why I started out with my mission story. But I kind of want to get into more outside of the toxic mission culture, when I came home from my mission, and kind of what happened, why I have decided to leave the church that I truly believed in. I would sacrifice absolutely anything for, to now I don't believe it's true at all, and I feel very lied to and betrayed a little bit. So we'll just fast forward. I come home from my 18-month mission service. I'm feeling like I'm on cloud 9. I'm like, I did it. There's a lot of shame if you come home early from a mission. And trust me, I thought about it so many times. I was like, I just want to go home. I'm so physically, emotionally, mentally drained. Like, there were so many times that I would just look out the window and just be like, I want to go home so bad. But I didn't. There's a lot of shame if you come home early from your mission. There really is. And I did not want to deal with that at all. I don't think I could have handled that, on top of just feeling like a failure, feeling like I just didn't have a good experience, and everyone around me that's home just had this wonderful spiritual experience. And it was definitely hard. I definitely had some really, really awesome experiences on my mission. I don't want to discredit that for any of you that met me on my mission in Wisconsin. Like, I want you to know, like, I'm so grateful to have met you guys, and I met just some of the best people, and I met some of the worst people. but I truly, truly needed to get away from some family issues that were going on, and um, just get some time to focus on God and myself. And I don't regret it, but it definitely wasn't what I thought it was. And coming home, I found out a lot of things I didn't know. So, um, I come home from a mission. I'm on cloud nine, like I said. I just feel like everyone's so proud of me in Utah. Like everybody, my family, my friends, like everybody's just like, you did it. You finished your 18-month missionary service. You didn't come home early. You are a better person because of it. Like that's just how I felt. I felt like everybody in the church would look up to me a little bit better because I was a returned missionary and I served fully and faithfully, and I had some cool experiences to share, and I would just felt really good. But I needed a break from reading the Book of Mormon when I came home. And I know that sounds so weird because as a missionary, you hear all the time departing missionaries saying like, I want to continue this personal study, because every single day on the mission you have like an hour to read your scriptures and then share like an hour to do some companionship study together and prep for lessons and such. But when I came home from my mission, like I just needed a break. I just remember coming home and I didn't pick up my scriptures for days. And I know that sounds so shocking. But I seriously just wanted to do something normal. I wanted to go see a movie for once in a year and a half. I wanted to go on a date. I wanted to kiss a boy. I wanted to go swimming because you can't swim as a missionary. I wanted to hold a baby because you can't hold a baby as a missionary. I wanted to go get my nails done, or like go shopping for the whole day because you can't do that as a missionary. You don't get a full day off. I just wanted to sleep in because you have to get up every single day at 6:30, even on your day off. And I definitely wasn't perfect on that towards the end, and I have no regrets because I needed it. But seriously, like when I came home, I just needed a break from it all. And I knew like that was like bad and I shouldn't be doing that. And like, but I felt better when I came home. I seriously like, I just needed a break and I got it, and it was great. I watched movies. I went on dates. I went out and went on roller coasters. I held babies, swimming, photography, got back into that, makeup. I had time to do some things for myself, go get a job, get some actual money, buy some things that I've wanted to get. Like, it was awesome to kind of have a sense of freedom back. And I just want to say, for the record, I tried so hard on my mission to get as many people baptized as I could, right? Because that's what they shove down you. They're like, get people baptized. That's what we're here for. They have a number count and everything for the mission. You try to reach a goal. And I only baptized one person, my mission. And that was like pure luck. Like, I wasn't even in the area at the time when this person I taught got baptized. But it was my one and only baptism I ever got, and my mission president thankfully let me go attend it, because I was like, come on, please, like, please, this person's getting baptized and I haven't had one baptism my whole mission. Please let me go. And so I went, and that was really, really good for me to go. It kind of, made me feel like, okay, I'm doing something why I came out here, because I came out here to do this. But it was so unbelievably hard. But I will say that I grew so much as a person on my mission, and not just like spiritually. Like, I just grew in general. I grew in learning more about myself and what I believe, because I feel like 21 years old, you're still learning a lot about yourself. You don't know what you really want in life, and you're kind of just developing your own beliefs still. And so that's what I mean when I say I don't regret it. And so, yeah, I came home and I just took a break from reading my scriptures. It was really, really nice. And I'm sure a lot of return missionaries can understand what I'm saying, is when you get home, you just kind of can do whatever you want. You don't have to have someone by your side 24/7. And it's because when you have a companion, like, you have to be together all the time. And it's just nice to have alone time. And so basically you get what I'm saying. And so I came home. About a year later, not even a year later, I was married, I'm pretty sure. It was like barely, like, I think 11 months later, I got married. Met my husband. We got married in the temple. And I got married in the middle of the pandemic with COVID. So my wedding was... I still loved my wedding, but it was very, very different than what I had envisioned my entire life. I didn't even get to go dress shopping. I just had to pick a dress online, and hopefully I liked it when it came to the door. So yeah, it was just very, very different. And so I come home, I get married, right? Me and my husband were going to church. We're still reading our scriptures together. And then COVID-19 hits, right? And, well, I guess me and my husband weren't going to church, but, like, we were doing church at home. And so I noticed a lot of people leaving the church. And before I left my mission, I had some family leave the church for the same reason. It was material information online that makes people, like, lose their testimony, and the church, like, warns against it. They say, like, it's anti-Mormon material and it's of the devil. And I truly believed that. I was like, this can't be true. The gospel is true. Like, how could it not be true? And when I went on my mission, I learned a lot more about church history, and I learned, where the Book of Mormon came from. I'm not going to be able to, like, go into depth about this information, but basically, if you are someone that knows the restoration of Jesus Christ, the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ from Joseph Smith and all that, yada, 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 then you can probably follow along a little bit better. If not, I'm sorry, you're probably going to be so confused what I'm talking about. But I was noticing just more people were leaving from this information online. And I was just, like, shocked, because these were faithful members of the church, people that served missions, like, people that had strong testimonies of the gospel and knew it was true. And they were posting about how they were leaving the church and why. And so I read this person's post on social media, and they said some things that I was unaware about. And I was like, I'll say, if you don't want to know this information, I'd probably log out of this video right now. But something that they said that I wanted to get more research into was that the Book of Mormon was not translated by gold and brass plates. It was translated by a rock and a hat. And I had never heard that before. I was like, okay, that has to be anti-information. I was always taught, and I was taught to people on my mission that the Book of Mormon was translated from gold and ancient records that Joseph Smith found from an angel, yada, yada, yada. It all made sense to me. And so when this person was saying some things that I had never heard before about something that I taught people for a year and a half, and, like, it was a major, major thing that I had never heard before, wasn't like a little thing to me, I was like, okay, I want to do more research about this. If that's true and I didn't know about it, I have to know more. So I did some more research about it. I went to this anti-Mormon link that people were telling me to go to read. And I thought when I read this stuff that it would just be things that that wouldn't bother me. And it would be things that I already knew, or things that were totally made up and not, like, you couldn't prove it, or people that were just trying to get after the church. And, like, the church had claimed, like, they were just anti and they were just out to get the church. So I was like, I had that mindset, like, when I go and read this stuff, like, nothing is going to change, because I have a strong testimony. I have a testimony of the Book of Mormon. I have a testimony of Joseph Smith being a true prophet of God. I taught it for 18 months. I was like, this isn't going to change anything. I thought that I could maybe go and find out just some more information and maybe, like, help some other people that were struggling with it, and see if I could find out any more information from other sources other than the anti-sources. And wow, when I read this stuff online, I was heartbroken. Like, my world came crashing down. I realized that it was true. My friend was right, that Joseph Smith didn't translate the Book of Mormon from golden plates like I taught people. He translated it from a rock and a hat. And he had this rock that was known as a seer stone because he was a treasure digger, which I didn't know. And he conned people out of money. And this is like real facts that I couldn't just justify away. And I learned a lot about his polygamy, and I knew that he was a polygamist, but I was taught that it was a commandment of God, and I didn't know to the extent of what actually happened. And I learned that he had an affair on his wife Emma with a 16-year-old who probably was a victim who worked in their house. And I found out that he married teenage girls as young as 14 years old. And I just thought of Elizabeth Smart when I started reading all this stuff, and I was just like, whoa. Like, I found out about the Book of Abraham, that the Book of Abraham was not an actual translation, and that he translated it completely wrong. Because we still have the actual records from which he translated the papyrus scrolls in the Book of Abraham, that they were researched by scholars, by like scientists and scholarists, and it had nothing to do with what Joseph Smith said it had to do with. And I found out a lot about the Book of Mormon and about another book called The View of the Hebrews that had a lot of similarities, and it came out around Joseph Smith's time. And it just my whole world just came crashing down, and I just like broke down in tears, because I had never heard any of this, and I was hurt. It has been a couple months in this process, and it is still hard for me to talk about, but it's not as emotionally hard for me to talk about, as you can see. But I would just cry to my husband about this. I just brought this information to my husband, and I just cried, and I just remember saying, what is this? What is this? And I was like, oh, we have to go look on the church's website. And it was on the church's website too, and I had no idea. And the church does have this stuff on their website, and it's just not taught. It's not, no one knows about it, and that really bothered me. And so I really just didn't know what to think. And I didn't want to I didn't really go like cold turkey on it, but I was just like, this seems really, really like messed up to me, that this isn't how the actual story happened. Like, nothing that I thought was true was real. It didn't happen the way that I thought it happened at all. And there's so much more information. You guys can go look it up for yourself, but there's so much more information on the way that the church happened, that I was taught that it did not happen that way. The first vision, there was so many first vision accounts, and when things actually came out, and when Joseph actually started talking about the first vision, and just things didn't add up to me anymore, finding out the actual timeline and the actual events that had happened. And I felt very betrayed, because I hadn't heard any of this stuff, and I've been a member of this church for 24 years and I never heard about any of this stuff. So that kind of started my faith crisis and my faith journey. And it's been several months since I started this. I don't go to church anymore. I don't really know what I believe. It's been so hard, and it is so scary to come and share this with people, especially in Utah. And I just wish someone had told me. I just wish that I knew how everything actually happened. And I realized a lot of things that were said and doctrines that I didn't know about, like back in the 1900s, that were so racist, so wrong, so sexist. I realized that I didn't believe that these men were prophets anymore, and I didn't believe and I didn't agree with what the teachings were. And I actually realized how much damage it has done and how much hurt it has caused to so many people. Like, for example, one of the things in the Book of Mormon is that African American people were cursed with the blackness of their skin from God for sinning, and it was taught by the apostles and prophets that African American people they like went against God in the premortal life, and that's why they're born black. And that was an actual doctrine, and they hide all of that today. But if you're a prophet of God, if you're claiming to speak for God and that God never changes, why are you changing your doctrine as a prophet of God? And don't even try to justify it to me by saying, well, it was a different time. When you're saying that you're speaking for God, I hold you to a very, very high standard. I don't care how many years ago it was. If God says that he is the same today, yesterday, and forever, then that can't be true if you're a true prophet of God. And so I just found out a lot of this stuff that I didn't know, and there's so much more, but I just don't have time to go through all of this right now in this first video. But yeah, that's kind of a gist of my story, why I've left the church currently, and I no longer believe in the church. I'm still doing a lot of research, but I have never been happier, and I've never felt more at peace with feeling like I'm not like doing everything wrong, and I have to have such a high standard of everything I have to do for this religion to live righteously. It has been an eye-opening experience for me, but I'm still deconstructing a lot of my core beliefs that, I was taught and that was ingrained in me. I'm still figuring out what I believe, and so I'll probably make more videos about what I believe now, where I'm at now, and how I have found peace with where I'm at, and I'm no longer afraid to leave this very orthodox religion that I've been in. And because a lot of it was fear of me going to hell, fear that I'd be damned, fear that I'm wrong. And I just decided I can't live that way anymore. I can't ignore things that have been disproven. And yeah, so I'm just figuring it out a day at a time. And I just want you to know that if you are in this boat, that you're not alone. There's an entire community out there that a lot of people struggle with. We just don't talk about it. And that's why I'm posting these videos, because I think it's important to talk about it. And I know I'm going to get a lot of unfollowers, probably a lot of hurtful comments, but please be kind, because this is a very, very hard and traumatic process. But yeah, thank you guys for taking time to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video and want more content like this, please let me know in the comments and go ahead and subscribe. Thanks.